This is breaking down the Bible, the Hebrew scriptures.
This is basically about some aspects of this so-called religious holiday called Easter. Now, most of you know I was a Christian for 20-something years, and we know that Christians do not live by the book. They don't live by the Torah. They rarely live by what they call the Bible. And most of the Christians on this day are out celebrating a pagan holiday or one of these so-called holy days that are not even in the book for you to celebrate. So what is today about? You guessed it. Passover and Easter. Let's get this straight. This is Easter Sunday. This is not Passover. This is Passover versus Easter. We just went through Passover. Okay. And most of you should have known about this past Passover, if you're Hebrew. So this is to help enlighten you that there is no such thing as Easter Sunday. You're not even supposed to be celebrating Easter. It's not a holy day. It's not a set apart day for Hebrews. So no, you're not supposed to be celebrating Easter. You're supposed to be celebrating Passover. So who can tell me in the comment sections, what does an Easter bunny doing popping out of an egg? What does a bunny have to do with eggs? Seriously, guys. How are you even considering this, even if you are a Christian? How did Easter take over Passover? How did you make Passover about being Yeshua HaMashiach's risen day? Where does it say to celebrate him rising up? Where can you show me that at? I'm open for a good challenge. Show it to me. But Christianity has taken toll on you guys. It doesn't exist. But the word Christian is in the book. But it's not in a positive light or positive form. You guys got to start reading your books, because I'm not going to make this very long. In the description, I'm going to put down here 2 other teachings about Easter. And you should know to stay away from them. Passover, Pesach, Hebrew, is a major biblical derived Jewish holiday, right? Wrong. I left this here intentionally because this is what you find out there on the internet. It's not a Jewish holiday. It's a Yahudim holiday. It's an Israelite holiday. It's a Hebrew holiday. But you guys wouldn't get that, right? Jew in the Bible, whether it be King James Version or whatever, is an etymology form of the word Judah. is a translated version or a lie-aided version. It's a lie from Judah, from the people that you call Yahudim. That's not how that works. Ish means pertaining to. That's the bottom line. That's what that means, pertaining to. So it's saying it derived from the Jewish holiday. No, it derived from the Israelites and Yahudim during that time of the Passover. Now it says Yahudim Hebrews celebrate Passover as a commemoration, remembrance, memorial of the liberation by the Most High, Yah, from slavery in ancient Mitzrayim in Egypt. That is correct. That's what it was for. They were being held captive against their will, and the Most High, their deity, the Hebrew deity, Yah, Yahuwah, the Most High Yah, told this Pharaoh, let his people go. Moving on, as well as their freedom as a nation under the leadership of Moshe, or what you call Moses in English. And it is a holy day of remembrance of the Exodus as described in the Yahudim Hebrews Torah meaning law, Bible, just said that to what most of you read sometimes is the Bible, King James Version, especially in the book of Exodus, preferably 12, chapter 12, in which the Israelites were freed from slavery in Mitzrayim, known as Egypt. That's all this is. And then you go on for, unleavened bread for 7 days, and then you have first fruits. After the Shabbat, after the high Sabbath. But you guys do not read this book. Whether it's the Torah or what you might call the Bible. You don't read this book. But Christianity has done a number on you, so I don't mind answering these questions because you need to know this. But this does not alleviate you from not doing your homework. This guy. All right, this guy right here would not let them go. I don't care what kind of movies you've seen over the years, they've been whitewashed. Most of the people, nearly all of them, were of color. They were Shakur, Yahudims, the slaves that were building these pyramids. This guy was of color. Whether you like it or not, he had Shakur skin. Dark skin, dark brown skin. The Egyptians looked just like the Hebrews, the Israelites, the slaves, during that time frame when they were there. If you don't believe me, go look it up. And see if you don't come to the same conclusion. You've been duped. Trust me, a lot of us have until we start looking into the background. So this is why you got to pay attention to what's being told to you. Okay. Passover versus Easter Ishtar. I place this up here because you need to know that there's a difference between Easter and Ishtar. They're both deceptive. That's the difference. One is deceptive upon the other because Ishtar is a female god of fertility crapping out eggs. But like I said, to go into that would take additional time. So I'm going to leave the description and the description of the link in the description below so you can get those teachings because they will be in the description. So just go in there and look at the Ishtar and Easter teachings. It's just that simple. So in Yirmiyahu 10:1-2, it says, "Hear ye, the word which the master, the El, speaketh unto you, O house of Yeshua or Israel. Thus saith the master, the El, Lord meaning master. And thou, depending on what context you put it in, learn not the way of the heathen, and not to be dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Look, the bottom of the line is, heathens don't want to be controlled or ruled. They want to do as they wish and have a reprobate mind. They do whatever they feel like it. You know, they're under their own affections, whether they be vile or not, but they're in a strong delusion. This is not the way of the Yahudim. This is not the way of the Israelite. This is simply not the way of the Hebrew. We have rules. Israel, Yashadel, rules. Here in Exodus, we know that Easter is false, but the world says it's one of the holiest days of the year. So most of you don't even know what the word holy means. And some of you think you're supposed to project something or feel a certain way. Holy simply means set apart. But it is a sacred day for the Most High's work. Easter is not a holy day for celebration to the Most High. Not the one in that book. It's a false report. This is why I left this here. Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude, all the other people that's doing Easter today, to do evil. Neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. Some of you say speaking to the Christians, you might say that this is one of the holy days out of the year. I beg to differ and challenge you on every level. You better bring your lunch, your dinner, your food for the week if you're trying to challenge me on this. This is crazy. What does bunny rabbits hopping around with eggs have to do with the Most High in this book? Where is Easter in your Bibles? Where is Easter in your Torah? Where was it proclaimed to be a day to remember as a feast day? Just show me. Because a lot of times you Christians want to say, oh, it's about him being risen. You know, he was taken down off the cross. The cross? You mean that plus sign? Now let's talk about this cross. Just a little bit. Now, if you can read the screen, you already know I got to highlight it because he wasn't hung on a cross. He's on a tree. And most of your Bibles, it has it on a tree as well. And this is why I gave you the reference. In my ICM, 5:29:32, but you can see it in 30, and then you can also see it again in 1329. When they took him down from the tree and placed him in the sepulcher. Listen, if you don't read the book, you're not going to know what this is. He didn't die on a cross, people. That makes no sense. He didn't die on a cross and they took him down from a tree. But you won't read it. You won't read the book. The only good that cross is for, little things. Like math. It's a geometrical figure consisting of two intersecting lines or bars, usually perpendicular to each other. The lines usually run vertical and horizontal across of oblique lines in the shape of the Latin letter X. It's also termed as a saltare in heretic terminology. And here's how I use the cross. Ignorance plus stupid equals dumb. Because you're walking around with a plus on your chest, around your necks, on your cars. That thing means captured. You surrendered to the beast. Or simply you like to do math. I implore you to read all of Exodus chapter 12. Even the whole book of Exodus. I do think you should read it. But for this purpose here, to bring it all in context, read all of chapter 12 in Exodus. This here is just 1 through 11. Just to give you some points. And Yeshua, the Most High, spoke to Moshe, or Moses, and Aaron in the land of Mizraim, saying, that means Egypt. Bondage. This month is to be for you the first month of your year. Tell the whole people of Israel, the assembly, the house of Israel, that on the 10th day of this month, each man is to take a lamb for the family, one for each household. If any household is too small for a whole lamb, they must share one with their nearest neighbor, having taken into account the number of people there are. You are to determine the amount of lamb needed in accordance with what each person will eat. Okay, so they're basically just dividing the meat here. Okay, let's not get too complicated. That's all they're doing to how much one can eat. But keep listening. The lamb you choose must be 1 year old for the males, without blemish, nothing on it, must not be anything on it, it must be clean meat, and you may take from the sheep or the goats. Take care of them until the 14th day of the month, when all the assembly of Yashrael, Israel, shall kill it in the evening. So these instructions are going to be twofold here. As we move forward into the context, you're going to see exactly where this is going. 8. The same night, they are to eat the meat roasted over the fire, along with bitter herbs and bread made without yeast, unleavened bread. It says, do not eat the meat raw or boil it in water, but roast it over a fire with the head, legs, and internal organs. Do not leave any of it till morning. If some is left till morning, you must burn it. That's what they were going to do. These are instructions. 11. This is how you are to eat it. With your cloak tucked into your belt, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. Eat it in haste. It is the Elohim's Master El's Passover, or Pekat. Listen. You guys need to know what Exodus is and what it really means. Okay, it has nothing to do with Easter. I don't care who lied to you. You cannot confuse the Passover with Easter. Two totally different things. One is about being freed by the Most High and leaving a bondage area, an area of slavery, captivity. In modern day terms, prison, jail, in horrible conditions, if so to speak. And the other one, Easter, is about fertility and eggs and bunnies and plus signs. They did a number on you. Two totally different things. Now, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of Passover and Exodus. Remember, we're at 11. This is 12. Now, here is the Most High speaking, so pay attention. For I will pass through the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, this night, and will smite all firstborn in the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the Eloi, all the Eloi, that means gods of Mitzrayim and Egypt, I will execute my judgment. I am Yahuwah. I am the Elohim. He's the living so-called God. He's the only one. He's only one. Now, before this, you need to understand what's going on here in context, because you're in the middle of a process. You're in the middle of an action. So before this, you got to know that Moshe and Moses was going back and forth to Pharaoh, telling him that the Most High said, let Israel go. Let my people go. Let my servants go. And he kept sending them plagues, diseases, curses upon him. This is Pharaoh, Ramses. So this stiff-necked Pharaoh would not listen. Took on the plagues, took on the curses. And it's not like he wasn't properly warned. So what you're doing here is you're watching the execute portion and the executed portion of the Most High, our Elohim as Hebrews. That's what you're doing right here, right now. You're watching him execute his judgment, his authority, his rule, his power over this Pharaoh who had his people. So what's going on here is these are instructions to the Hebrews, Israelites, Yahudims, not Jews or Jewish. I don't care what you read in their book. They're Yahudims. In your book, it could say Jews, but the proper translation should say Yahudims. The so-called Jews in the book are the Yahudims here. That's the best way I can put it without getting too technical with some of you. So now, the Most High, is passing down judgment here. Okay? So let's move forward. Now this right here is a warning to the Israelites, the Yahudims, house of Israel who's here. This is a warning to them. And these are instructions. Follow the instructions is basically what they're telling you here. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. Now remember, they still got the blood from the lamb that they divided up. House by house, portion by portion. Let's keep going. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Mitzrayim. All right, Egypt. Further instructions. This is a day you are to memorial, remember, commemorate. For the generations to come, you shall celebrate it as a festival to the Master, the Elohim, a lasting law. This is why we celebrate Passover. Because it's a law. And it is a festival. We're supposed to be happy. This is why we do this. So, this has nothing to do with Easter at all. Ishtar. On 15, it says, 7 days you are to eat bread made without kamet. 11, yeast. On the first day, remove the kamet leaven yeast from your houses. This doesn't mean give it to your neighbors. If you're in communities, you got to throw it all out. But if you're in single homes and have yet get out of those cities, this doesn't mean go give it to them to hold until after the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Some of you guys try to be so slick. For whoever eats anything but yeast in it from the first day through the 7th day must be cut off from Israel. Y'all shut up. He's not playing. There's no playing here. Once you pick up this plow, once you've picked up this yoke, this right here is an immediate part of Passover. And this is where it's at right now. So you can look at it and read it and know what it is. This is very important. 1 through 11 is important, but this is your immediate Passover. This is what makes it so strong. He's telling you what's going on here. Some of you won't read it. Now, you got to do some homework here because I'm jumping down into the meat and potatoes of this. It's beautiful. The Passover is beautiful. So we go to the Exodus, Shemot 29, and watch this. So now he's telling you, remember, he was telling you what he's going to do. Here, he's executing it. He's doing it. 29 at midnight. The Master, the Elohim, the Most High Yah. I leave certain words in here for connotation and comment so you can see how some things are just not properly written. In proper context, this means master. Struck down all the firstborn in Mitzrayim, Egypt. From the firstborn of the Pharaoh who sat on the throne to the firstborn of the prisoner who was in the dungeon and the firstborn of all the livestock as well. He struck down all the firstborn. he's just carrying out what he said he's going to do. 30, Pharaoh and all his officials and all the Egyptians got up during the night. And what do you think they were doing? It says it right there. And there was a loud wailing in Mitzrayim in Egypt, for there was not a house without someone dead. So when he said he was going to smite the firstborn, that's exactly what he did. And if you did not have the blood during the Passover of death, during the smite, then your firstborns would be dead. Hence the Passover of judgment from the firstborn. But Israel knew, the Yahudims knew, because they were told and warned and given the instructions. 31. During the night, Pharaoh summoned Moshe and Aaron and said, "Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go worship the master as you have requested. Go worship your deity as you have requested. Go worship the Most High as you requested. Go worship Yah as you have requested." Further, you see, at this point, Ramses, the Egyptian pharaoh, he gets the point. You see, the Most High know how to get to you. He gives you warnings, and then he carries out the judgment. That's what happened here. So he knew what was going to get Pharaoh. So now, 32. Take your flocks. He said, take your flocks, your herds, as you have said, and go. And also bless me. The bottom line is right here, guys. If you're not getting this, go back and read it. Read it all in context. He is so overwhelmed of losing his own, so in distress, because he did not move when the Most High told him to move. So the Most High had to do something to get his attention, to show him that he wasn't playing around. So this time, as his firstborn is obviously dead, when he sent for Moses and Moshe and Aaron, he's basically saying, get out of here, leave my people. Because now he knows that these people are protected. You are the chosen people of the Most High. Now, we go down to 33. The Egyptians urged, they were strongly telling the Israelites to hurry and leave the country. For otherwise, they said, they all will die. So, at this point, the Egyptians are telling them to leave quickly. For otherwise, they said, we will all die. They're thinking that the rest of them will die. That is a judgment for the Most High if you didn't let them go. So now they're pushing them to get out of Mitzrayim, out of bondage, out of Egypt. They're trying to get them out of there. 34. So the people took their dough before the yeast. All right, listen very closely, because this is in a lot of your Bibles. That's why I left it here. I didn't put it in Hebrew. I'm leaving it right here. It says, so the people took their dough before their yeast. The word leaven sounds anything particular to you? They took it before the yeast was added and carried it on their shoulders in kneading troughs. In addition, wrapped it in clothing. This is the portion where they're leaving out of Egypt and they're exiting Egypt. They're getting out quickly. They're leaving. Hence, Exodus, exiting. They're exiting. They're leaving. So there's no yeast in the bread. Hence, unleavened bread. It's right here in front of you. There's no excuse no more. The Israelites did as Moses instructed and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing during this process. There's a lot of stuff going on here. The master had made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people, and they gave them what they asked for, so they plundered the Egyptians. They wrecked that whole place. They were getting their stuff and they were leaving. The stuff that they took, they're getting back, and plus some. They plundered it. In 37, the Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Sukkot. That's leaving them from Ramses, the Pharaoh, the Egypt area. There were about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children. That's a lot of people, guys. A lot of people. Now listen. This is the portion at the nearing process. Let's look at 38. It says, many other people went up with them, and also large droves of livestock, both flocks and herds. 39. With the dough the Israelites had from Mitzrayim, Egypt, they baked loaves of unleavened bread. The dough was without yeast because they had been driven out of Mitzrayim, Egypt, and did not have time to prepare food for themselves. So now you know about the unleavened bread. Now you know about the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now you know what happened prior to that, from 1 through 11 in chapter 12, about unleavened bread. Now the length of time, this is 40. Now the length of time the Israelite people lived in Mitzrayim, Egypt, was 430 years. That's a long time, people. And at the end of the 430 years, we're in 41, to the very day, all the master's divisions left Mitzrayim. Here in 42, because the Elohim kept vigil that night to bring them out of Mitzrayim, Egypt. On this night, all the Israelites are to keep vigil to honor the Elohim, the Most High, Yah, for the generations to come. So, there you have it. It's right there. It's telling you that the Israelites, it didn't say Christians, it didn't say Muslim. Okay? Israelites. Yasharel. Hebrews. The so-called Jews, not Jewish, the so-called Jews in that Bible has wrong translations. They're the Yahudims. Now you know what Passover is. You know what first fruits. You know what the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the 7 days. You now know what this is. In the Exodus, the exit out of slavery, out of Mitzrayim, bondage. Over in Shemot, chapter 12, 1 through 51 is what I have. Read the chapter. The whole chapter. Not parts, not littles, everything. Ishtar. I've been explaining to you. What does eggs have to do with Easter? And this god of whatever she is right now, right? When you look at her, you're like, what is this? It's fertility, sex. Look at her. And you guys paint the eggs and all kinds of stuff as Christians. And you don't even know what it's about. You get those baskets and you get all these different things and fill it up with eggs. Easter egg hunt. When the true idolatry behind this crap is pure pagan. It's evil. So make sure you look in the description for the proper outlook, the proper context of what Easter really is in Ishtar. Because Ishtar is really what you're celebrating. And I have it here. Easter is an event that was honored by nearly all the contemporary Christianity. There go that word again, Christianity. That's your religion. It's not in the book. It's nowhere in the Torah. And Christianity, unless they placed it in there, your authors, it's not in your King James versions. But is as the resurrection of Yeshua, Jesus, the Messiah. Excuse me. This tradition is so well established that it is believed to have begun with the resurrection of our Savior and instituted by his apostles in the first century in the commemoration of the event. There go that word commemoration again. Listen. It says tradition. Believed to become with the resurrection. There's nothing that tells you this. There's nothing that tells you anything about celebrating the resurrection. Nothing. Nothing at all. There's a description about him going down 3 days and 3 nights as Juno was in the belly of the whale. It says, next it says, actually the apostles kept Passover until the mid-second century when a debate broke out about separating Christian celebrations from Jewish ones. I leave this in here so you guys can see the twisting of the words. Jewish, ish means pertaining to. You either a Yahudim of the bloodline or you're grafted in. So if you're out there debating about if the others can come into the Hebrew faith, you're wasting your time. The book already says that. From Jewish ones, churches in the East still celebrated Passover. Now, these Quarter-Decimal churches, while Western churches began celebrating the resurrection on the first Sunday after the Passover. Do you see this? After the Passover, they started celebrating this Easter stuff. Resurrection on the first Sunday after the Passover. Guys, if you don't get this, you've been duped. You Christians do all kinds of crazy stuff. Also, if you want to check your Bibles to see if it's been messed with, there's a couple of places. I like to check Mark 16:2 myself because it tells you about Mary Magdalene. And if it says very early on the first day of the week, it's been tampered with. Very early on the Shabbat, the Sabbath, is what it should say. And you have some material to work with there. But if you still have your regular Bible, you got to learn how to discern what's in there. You got to learn how to discern it. The name Passover comes from German month end, which Passover fell in Easter month. They'll make up anything. They'll make it up. If Aramaic, prior to that was phonetics, was your first language, how did it become German? Easy, because they didn't speak English. It's in translation, guys. The name spread through Europe until it became standardized as the name of the resurrection day, known as Easter in English. In English. They're trying to tell you that the Passover is Easter. It's not. It never has been. They're different. They're not the same. You guys got to watch this stuff. There you go, Judah. My fellow Yahudims. Some of you seen this commercial out there. This should be highly offensive. They'll do anything for $1 a buck. Commercialize anything. But you should know better than this. This is funny to a lot of people, but this is highly disrespectful to the house of Israel and of Judah. It should be. Is Easter real? Depending on what mindset you in. But if you're in reality, no. It's fake. Just like plastic. Passover is real. If you believe in the book, if you believe the knowledge in the book, then yes. Most of you out there, Public Law 97-280, they're doing a great deception right in front of you. You don't know who you are inside of these courts and these churches. You're not getting it. Your courts are the churches. Read this. Understand it, absorb it. That you're a man. You're a woman. Global Chat Daddy. We have somewhere to congregate now, Israel. And those who want to learn common law. This is where you need to be. Open up an account and go there. All right. Make sure you like us, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for your time. Go back, read this chapter, know what you're getting yourself into, and research it. This is Officer Wolfline.